Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to quickly record an intro for this video because if you guys have seen my last video, I wanted to do a recent reads of the books that I've read in June, July and August, but that just turned out to be so long, so I only ended up posting my June and July reads. So here I am with my August reads. I know it's very late because it's literally the end of September, but I still really wanted to share this video because I read some very good books in August. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video and be ready because I'm going to start off right away with the first book. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoy this video. I think now we're starting our August reads. The first one I want to talk to you about is Kujo by Stephen King. So this is the second book in the Castle Rock stories. This book follows Kujo, who's a saint. I mean, I think everyone knows the story of Kujo because it's a pop culture reference. It's there in Friends episode as well. I'll still give you a little gist of the entire book. This book follows Kujo. He's a Saint Bernard dog who is suffering from rabies. So he's sick and obviously very dangerous because he's very huge. He's a huge dog who's suffering from rabies. So it's just not safe to be around him. Eventually in this book, a family sort of ends up in his backyard, trapped, and that is what the basic overall book is like. That is what I knew about the book when I went into it. It's not much, but that is the information that I had. But I want to tell you that this book is so much more than just like a rescue story. It is so much more. This book follows Kujo. We literally have chapters from Kujo's point of view where you can see that he does not want to do this. He is not a monster. He is just sick. He's a sick dog, a very sick dog. The book also follows a family who has Kujo, like whose pet is Kujo. It's a very messed up family. The mother and father have an abusive relationship, not a very good relationship basically. And then the family who gets stuck in the backyard with Kujo, that family also has a lot of family issues going on. And I just loved the way we got into those stories because we have these two families who have broken marriages essentially, but broken in very different ways, and the way those are written, the way those stories are conveyed, it was very interesting. It definitely was very interesting. Obviously the part about Kujo was the main highlight. Obviously it has a big dog on the cover, but I think it's just there's relations that you make, the relations that you have, good or bad, those, like there's such a big emphasis on those. I really enjoyed this book. One thing about Stephen King is obviously his writing skills, his writing skills, his story, all of these things are very amazing. But I think the main attraction for me towards Stephen King books, Stephen King stories, are the characters. They are so messed up, so real. It's amazing. I love reading Stephen King, and this book is one of those examples where we are having an in-depth study into each of the characters' minds, each of the characters' backstories, and it's just a very interesting read. Obviously the part about Kujo, the entire rescue plot as well, was also very interesting. But yeah, all I want to say is it's not just the rescue plot, right? And I would definitely recommend this book as well to everyone. Okay, next up, I actually went to a trip to South Korea, so I got 2 Korean books translated to English, so I'm going to talk about those now. So first up we have Human Acts by Kang. Okay, so this book it's fiction, but it's about a real life incident that happened in South Korea. It's about the Gwangju uprising, which happened in the 1980s. And honestly, I did not know anything about the Gwangju uprising, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people do not know about it. And reading this book made me realize, how can such a gruesome thing that happened not that long ago, how is it not that well known by other people in the country? And I think one of the main reasons is that I got to know this later on, but the Gwangju uprising, it didn't happen that long ago. It happened in the 1980s, and I think it's a very controversial uprising that happened. Like even to this date, I think a lot of people, some of the people are like, this didn't happen, this didn't happen. A lot of people are like, this did happen, how can such a gruesome thing happen in our country? A lot of people are like, no, this did not happen at all. So I got to know this when I was in Korea reading this book. So I was very scared that what if someone sees me reading this and they're like, that did not happen. Put that book down. I was honestly a little scared whenever I was to put the book down. I was to put it down like this so that no one can see which book I'm reading. This book was about the Guangzhou uprising, which happened in the 1980s, and it's very uniquely written. Like, usually when you think about a book about an uprising, you think it'll be about, you know, the front lines, like, you know, how many people were fighting, how many soldiers and how many police, you know, people, how many people die, all that stuff. But no, this book is about people who are not on those front lines. They're, you know, people, normal people who live in the village, right? It follows a bunch of characters who are essentially normal villagers, not villagers but people living in that town, and we follow each of them, how each of them was affected by the Guangzhou uprising in very different ways, but still each one of them being equally, I think, gruesome and sad and just very, very horrific in general. And yeah, all of those stories are somehow connected to the main character, you can say, who is a young school-going boy who helps out in the Guangzhou uprising by basically cleaning up dead bodies, helping the people of Guangzhou identify their loved ones among those corpses and all that. And I think it's just a very moving book, and for me, I think it was an even better experience because I was reading this while I was in Korea. Kang is, I think, a Booker International Prize winner. She also wrote The Vegetarian, which is another very good book, which I definitely will pick up sometime in the future. Next, I read Almond by this person I cannot pronounce, I'm sorry. This book again was a sad one. Okay, this book follows our main character Yeon-jae, who has this brain condition where there's this part of his brain that is not developed, and that part of the brain is responsible for having feelings and like, emotions. So this boy has basically grown up and is growing up without any emotions, and something traumatic happens to him. He loses his family. I think this is in the blurb. It's not a spoiler, okay? He loses his family in front of his eyes, and he just does not know what to think, what to feel. And I think this book was honestly a bit heartbreaking because the thoughts that you have behind your emotions, like, you know, that you are sad about this because of these reasons. So this book was written in the way, the character is written in a way where he is able to identify, or he is able to understand the logic, right? Like he misses his mother because of these reasons, and that is what a normal person will, you know, feel sad about, feel depressed about. But he does not have the ability to feel sad, he does not have the ability to feel depressed, but he is mentally sound. He is not able to comprehend that logic. Like, you know, it's a big thing to lose your mother in front of your eyes, right? And I think those things were so well written that it made it even more sadder. Going ahead, Yeon-jae, he makes a friend who is very different from him. He's like the bully, the class bully, so he has a lot of emotions in him, you know, like he just wants to literally hit people and kill people. And he befriends him, like the main that friend of his, he befriends Yeon-jae because he finds Yeon-jae very interesting and also a bit weird, and the friendship that they make is just so unique. And I think it's characteristic of friendships you make in your childhood, but there's no pretense, you know, to those friendships. They're just pure friendships. And I think it was so well written. This book was so well written. I literally read this entire book in one day, and I would definitely recommend it to everyone. It's again a moving book, but different from the way in which this was moving, right? But I think reading these two books for my South Korea trip was very fitting because they're both very emotional books, but I think of very different genres. And yeah, I would definitely recommend both of these books to anyone who wants to read Korean translated novels. We're coming to an end, so I'm happy because I'm tired. Next up, I read again probably one of my favorite books I've read so far, and it's The Great Loan by Kristin Hannah. Okay, so last year I read The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah, which immediately became one of my favorite books of all time. This book had me sobbing at the end, literally sobbing. And now this year I read The Great Alone by Kristin. I've had this book on my shelf for so long, but I was so scared because I knew this is going to be as emotionally taxing as The Nightingale, and it was. Probably even more. It was definitely more emotionally taxing, but this was such an amazing read. Oh my god, I just did not want to put this book down. I was constantly going back in it again and again, and just wow. Okay, just wow. So this book is about a family. The main character, her name is Lenny. She's 13 years old, and her parents have a tumultuous marriage. They don't have a good marriage at all. Her father is a prisoner of war in the Vietnam War, and he's returned back, and ever since he came back, he's just not the same person anymore. They keep moving from state to state, town to town, because her father just does not feel at home in any of these places, until one day he gets a letter from the father of one of his friends, who was also a prisoner of war with him, who has now passed away, and he has given his land to Lenny's family, right? And they decide to move to Alaska, where that land is, because her father thinks that is exactly where he will feel at home, they will feel at home, and they will be happy again as a family. And that is one of the best yet the worst decisions that the family can make. While the mother and the daughter do feel at home in Alaska, they love Alaska, but the marriage, the family dynamics because of the father just gets worse and worse. And this book is just about survival. It's about survival in every possible sense for Lenny's family, for her and her mother, because they have to survive in a place which, you know, where people go missing so easily because it's such a bad weather, you know, at times in the winters. But also what's happening inside her house, inside those closed doors, is also so dangerous for both of them. So yeah, I think this book was just heartbreaking, yet somehow it felt like it didn't break my heart. Heartbreaking, it didn't break my heart. Like, in a way, like it just was something that I needed to read, I feel like. And okay, that may have sounded wrong. I have a very good family, okay? I don't mean it that way. If you don't know Kristin, basically she writes historical novels about women and women's stories and their survivals and all that stuff. And this book, I think, depicts that so well, of how women have so much strength in them to survive the worst conditions possible. We all know female strength and male strength are very, very different, and I think the way Kristin writes that female strength, female emotional strength, is just it's amazing. I love that feeling of reading a Kristin book about females just living together, surviving together, loving each other despite everything. And I just enjoyed this book more than anything in this world. Oh my god, I loved it, and I cannot wait to read more of Kristin. So that was the last book that I actually completed this month. I am reading one more book. Where is it? Yeah, so I am reading this book currently, but it's the 29th of August, I think, today. So I'm pretty sure I'll finish it by the end of August, so I'm going to include it in this video. I finally picked up Mistborn by Sanderson. I have been wanting to get into Sanderson for so long, and I finally picked it up, and I'm really, really glad I did. This is the first book in the first series written by Sanderson, and I'm just loving it, honestly. I don't know what to tell you guys about it because I have not finished it yet. I think I will talk more about it in another video when I've read more of the series, read more of this book, because this is very difficult to explain. I'll just tell you a bit about the universe in general. So this universe, the main city is Luthadel, okay, and our main character, she's a Ska. Her name is Vin. She's a Ska who is basically the slave community, right? And then we have the nobility, and then we have the lord ruler, who is the king, basically. And the Ska are treated like slaves. They are slaves. They are nothing to the nobility and the lord ruler. And Vin, our main character, is a Ska. And in this universe, there is this magic system called allomancy, which is basically magic through metals or off metals, and only the nobility have this magic. So some people in the nobility have this magic, allomancy, but there are bastard children that the nobility have had with Ska members, and that has led to a few Mistborns or Mistings, which are basically the people who have these allomantic powers in the Scar community as well. So we follow Win, who is also one of those people who has allomancy, and she's part of the Scar rebellion, and they are trying to overthrow the final empire, and I'm loving it. The main reason why I'm loving this is because of the characters. If there's good characters in the story, in a fantasy series, that is going to be my next favorite thing, and I love it so much because of those characters. Obviously the world, magic system, the universe, the politics, all of those things are great. For me, it's the characters, and I have around 200 pages left. I'm on page 490 and there are around 650 pages, so I have a few pages left, and I'm just so excited to read more of this series, and I'm loving it. That's all I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna stop talking because I'm tired. So that's it. That's all I have to tell you guys about. I talked about 14 books with you guys, and some of them were books that I read on my Kindle, and most of them I had physical copies for. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm sorry if I was awkward because I haven't recorded in a very long time, but I had a great time. And please let me know if you guys have read any of these books, if you want to read any of these books, if I made you interested in reading any of these books. Please let me know, because that would be great. And yeah, I'll see you soon, hopefully. Bye.